It's like, ooh, I need to connect to the thing.
Yes, are you connected to the thing? Because the thing says we're live.
We're
Let's
saying,
see how
oh,
this works again.
hello. Are we live? Hello and happy Monday. I'm not still in Monday, I guess.
Yes, hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Bean Streaming. Sorry, just practicing my radio voice. But seriously, welcome. This is another episode of Bean Streaming, like I said, where Darko and myself are going to be playing with AWS CDK. We currently are going on a little adventure of building out a production-ready ECS cluster to deploy some containers with a couple of caveats. The caveats being that one, we want to have multiple stacks because, like we found out last week, we want to be able to define our DNS via Route 53 in a separate stack so it doesn't get torn down and trashed every time we spin new infrastructure up, because we've done that a few times now and we keep having to update our DNS for it, which is slightly annoying.
Exactly.
Then also what we need to do is we want to start splitting the stack even further to allow us to start adding it to our CD pipeline, because that's the end goal, is that this whole infrastructure as code. It means that infrastructure needs to be created via a pipeline automatically. And then we're going to work on bringing in some testing, etc. And what we do, however, have is an interesting little rabbit hole to go down to today. And Darko is going to tell us more because we just set up our new account finally. So we're now sharing a
Finally.
proper account. And that raised an interesting problem, which is?
So, hello everybody. Good morning. Happy Monday. I hope it's a happy Monday. Hope you had your first coffee, or maybe just getting the first coffee, or had plenty of coffees today. So the problem we have, so if any of you recall from last time, we were doing this splitting the stacks. Senor
I
developers, yes,
jumped the
hi.
joke. I had the joke up, so I spoiled it. Damn
You
it.
spoiled this, Cobus.
Well, then it's perfect. Add human timing. Sorry. Continue,
Exactly.
Darko.
So last time, if you recall, we were doing thing calling. We were splitting up stacks, right? So as Cobus said, we were splitting everything from a single stack to multiple stacks. And one stack was basically for just DNS, for creating the Route 53 hosted zone where we're gonna do things, so we don't have to create and delete the zone all the time. Now, the problem we ran into was if we want to reference that zone, we basically needed to create a zone object. It's possible from Route 53 to do it by creating like a object from a lookup, but for us it doesn't work. It basically creates the zone again. So that's a problem. So it basically creates the zone once more, a different zone with the same name and everything. So something is causing that, and I'm not sure what. So I think today's a challenge. We'll be trying to figure out why is that happening, and what can we do to kind of prevent it. And like, to be honest, I sound like I know what's the reason. I don't really know what's happening. I just tried it, and I seen that it should not be that way. I tested it out, and it still happens, still keeps happening. So I guess, Cobus, it's time for us to pair program. But again,
Ooh.
the benefit of all of this is that it works in different accounts, so we can actually properly now run it in not just my account, but an account which both Cobus and I can use. So let's actually switch to this. Okay. First of all,
And just quickly, yeah.
let's have a look at the things we have. So CDKLS, if I do CDKLS right now, it will show me that I have three stacks. There should be three stacks created. It takes a moment or so for some reason. Yes, there's three stacks. There's DNS. It's the stack which we define the hosted zone. There's the main stack where we do all the meat and potatoes of it, basically the pipelines, the containers, the load balancers, the everything. And then there is the test stack. It's the stack that I created for testing. So Max Payne Life says, instead of using zone name, use the zone ID to force it to use the right zone only. See, that's a fair point. That's what I thought initially, right? That's what I thought could be the problem. I have not tested it. I have actually tested it out with that thing. It still creates the zone. But actually, let me show you the code. So, going here, there is a piece of code here that says const hosted zone, Route 53 hosted zone from lookup. So basically, it looks up a zone coming from this parameter, and the parameter is basically just the DNS name. The DNS name in this case would be beardedbaldbeans.com, and this is a zone we have. Now, Did I just let me do one quick check? Beardedbaldbeans.com. Okay, that looks fine.
I'm
So it
actually going to add
creates-
us the other one because I think it tripped me up the whole time because I typed it, I didn't say it. It should be bald bearded beans because that's
fine.
just easier.
Okay, I mean, it doesn't matter. A domain name.com, right? So it uses this thing to create, to import a hosted zone, right? A different stack we have here is the stack that actually creates the hosted zone. So this is the DNS stack, and this thing actually creates the zone. So this works fine. So if I do CDK deploy DNS, it will deploy this thing. Max Payne, absolutely. Ask us all the questions you want. I mean, this is a discussion. This is not a prepared stream or anything like that. This is where we just. If you think this is a prepared stream or anything like that, you're in the wrong place. So feel free to ask away, and if we can answer, we'll love to do that. Where we are. Okay, so this creates a zone. That's fine. But now, Cobus, when I go into my testing stack, if I am able to do this, so actually,
Let us see.
I call it entry DNS for some reason. So this simple stack does the same thing. It does host the zone from lookup and uses the domain from properties. And what it does, it creates just a simple CNAME record. Actually, it fails to create a CNAME record, but that's fine, right? I made a mistake here, domain name Darko, whatever. I didn't even try to figure this one out. I just want to make sure it's validated and it creates CloudFormation. So actually, let's go here. So if I see the CDK synth, actually rm main.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what's going to happen now. Yeah,
exactly. CDK synth main, and I'm going to just synthesize a CloudFormation template from this thing by running synth, right? So if I do this and kick it off, it takes a moment or so for it to actually synthesize and create things like that. And if I do main YAML, you can see the first resource is a hosted zone. It creates a hosted zone. So it basically goes on.
Do that.
It shouldn't do that. No, it should not, right? That's the weird thing here. If I do CDK synth test YAML, like that. If I do test, no, so there is no such a thing. It doesn't do that. It creates just a record set, and that's it. Right? So it's super weird. It finds the hosted zone ID and everything. It does it all perfectly. So if I go to like Route 53, it finds the proper zone ID, right? 49H. So it does that, right?
Just double checking. You did check the code for that Route 53 stuff way down at the bottom.
I did some juggling of the code. Basically, I put it now on top because I was thinking maybe just because there's also things in CDK that you have to have some code hierarchy here. I did put it on top, and then on the bottom, let me actually this is the proper stack. Yeah, I removed the thing from the bottom. Basically, I've we had that hosted zone defined somewhere around here, right? So, and it's no longer here. I've also actually even removed the pattern because I was thinking maybe the pattern that, the thing that creates a CloudFront thing, maybe that breaks it. I don't know, right? So I completely removed that. It didn't fix it. So I am still trying to figure this one out.
Okay, so why don't we do the following? Quickly comment out that zone that we create and still see if it's in there, because I'd be curious to see that. Also, two things quickly. I just realized it's a public holiday or bank holiday, or what are they? I know in the US they call it something else. But basically, happy, I believe, Labor Day. I believe it is for our US viewers.
Okay.
I think it's Labor Day. I know they've got a long weekend because they've had some days off.
Well, happy Labor Day to the US folks, if there are any up this time. So
let's see quickly. Yes, Monday, 7th September is Labor Day.
Okay, there we go. So excellent. Doesn't matter for us. When is Labor Day or the equivalent in South Africa? Do we have it?
We've got Workers' Day, which is 1 May.
Yeah,
I believe.
the same as
yeah. So that's the international one.
It's the International Workers' Day. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
quickly
Can we answer the
while
question
you...
from Max
Yes,
Payne?
I was going to say pop it on the screen. Let's see. I use a lot of ESPs.
You can do something like I'm not an IoT expert, but the way I see this working, and I actually have a ESP8266 as well. I have a Mosquito, which is basically an MQTT server locally, and I have that Mosquito send that information upstream to AWS. That was one of it. But I actually did manage to get my ESP sending a message to IoT on AWS to Greengrass. Greengrass, yes.
Greengrass, yeah.
I was able to do that. I have a... Where is it? Yes.
Where is it digging there?
It's this one. This is the ESP. Well, actually, this is the ESP32S, so it may be slightly faster, right? Maybe no. Focus? No focus.
No, it's focusing on your face.
It's focusing on my face. So it's an ESP32. It may be slightly faster than the ESP8266, but I was able to get this one. Okay, yeah, that's a good point. So this thing could easily push messages up to AWS, no problem. Now, I would maybe say that a potential option would be to send to like a local Mosquito or MQTT server, and then find a way to upstream those messages up to AWS. Now, I have not done that, and would the problem here be that it would all come from the same source, and then you would have to somehow parse those things back on AWS? I'm not sure. So, okay.
Cool. Sorry. Quickly for those listening, can you hear my typing at the moment? I've completely rearranged my setup here a little bit. Okay, cool. Okay, so that's still working well. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, Max Payne, I apologize. I really don't know. Besides just pushing it, like I see that it is possible to push it to like a local MQTT server or something like that, a local MQTT listener like Mosquito. Mosquito is like a very common thing which you can just spin up in a container and on anything, and it just works, right? And that's how I did a lot of the things, but not to AWS. I did use Mosquito for my. I have a bunch of IoT like small Zigbee thermostats, and they all send information to Mosquito. So, but yeah, yeah, I like the individual thing management. But yeah, if the thing is not powerful enough, maybe. Well, I'm not sure. I would really need to look into this, but I'm sure that people use ESP8266 with AWS somehow. But I'm not sure if we do have some IoT core, like an OS for IoT devices. I'm not sure if this is sufficient for if you can use IoT core with 8266. Check it out. Maybe IoT core can help you on this one. So IoT core should be like a custom operating system for small IoT devices. So yeah.
Yeah. What I'm also going to suggest, Max Payne Live, is come join us on Wednesday at the same starting time. We've got our EMEA-wide Ask Me Anything session. And the reason I suggest that is I know that some of our other colleagues are or more versed in IoT.
Yeah.
Let me quickly confirm for you who is going to be on the chat that week, or this week. There we go. Sorry. It's Monday. I've not yet loaded all the things from last week back into my brain. Cool, let's see. This will be 9/9. Yes, I will make sure. At the very least, I'll make sure to find out what the answer is. I don't see, because Boaz, who is our principal DA based out of Tel Aviv, actually does quite a bit of IoT. And I was hoping he's not this week. He is, I know he's in the schedule here somewhere. He's coming up on one of the schedules. Sorry, it's just at the moment we're still recovering from summer holiday in the Northern Hemisphere. So it's a little bit of chaotic.
So, but do join us.
Yeah.
Okay, Cobus. So my plan for this one, at least to test my hypothesis, is that I'm going to remove the SSL thing, just for test, right? So I would like to remove the entire listener part, right? So the 443 listener, I'm going to leave just port 80 as a listener, and see if this changes anything, right? So just adding like that and bam. So removing all of this. I'm going to leave the Route 53's record, just so I can, so we can have this created, right? So it's going to create a load balancer. That's all fine. we should have just port 80 listening here, right? So that's it. Port listening and targets, and this should be it. So hopefully, and also I figured out the new file. I didn't know about this. So if you, there's a file called cdk.context.json where it actually keeps information on your hosted zones and some additional files. So if you look at this JSON file, this JSON file hosts information about your hosted zone and like availability zones. So if you did something that, and it keeps them here and it references them from here. So not sure what it's gonna break, but let me just remove CDK context JSON like so, and do like a CDK synth. Actually, npm run build. First, I want to make sure.
Let us see. I'm very curious about this. Sad
Okay,
Panda, my coffee is finished.
What did I break? What did I break? Why is this all of a sudden broken? New stack, my test stack.
I'm actually going to run away for 30 seconds and grab a fresh cup of coffee because I just realized this problem needs a lot more brain power than I currently have.
That's perfectly fine. Oh, a test is failing. Why is the test failing?
Be entertaining, Darko.
Yeah, well. Why is my test failing? Ooh. Oh, I may have done something. Wait a minute. Because coffee is finished. Exactly. No more beans. The build fails. So actually, I may have just done a bad thing before. Maybe it was just me because if I do npm, so did I save this? Yes, I did. So npm run build. I think the problem here might be that I didn't run npm run build, but npm run build should always build things. If see, it should always build even if I do like if I do CDK deploy. Okay, test is failing. Why is the test failing? I don't care for tests. Test this one. Test empty stack. I don't care for tests. Let me remove my test. Actually, what am I test? Yeah, it's missing props, but I don't want to test in this case, so I don't really care for it. It's missing props. Basically, it's missing this. So let me show you. It is missing. One moment. Let me open it like this. It's missing these properties that I'm passing, basically a DNS name. And if you look in this case, the properties are basically these are props, right? So main stack props. But I have not defined them in the test, so that's why it's failing. That's okay. But I wonder why is it. Should be, I don't need a test. I just want to remove the test completely to see if it will fail or not. Because here's the thing: if my CDK deploy didn't work, so if I CDK synth, let me rm main and then CDK synth synth main YAML. This may be a thing. We'll see. I don't really know. So for everybody that's just joining, we're doing our CDK thing again. The entire coffee, the entire we're creating a fully built application, fully structured application on AWS. The thing we're struggling today with is our Route 53 issues. Basically, we're creating a Route 53 hosted zone in one stack, and we wish to import it from another stack, well, into another stack. The problem was it wasn't importing, it was recreating it. So I really want to see what the thing was.
Let's have a look here.
So Cobus,
sorry,
I found the problem.
Oh, tell me.
It apparently, fun things. I didn't run npm build at all. So And
Okay.
CDK deploy should do that, right? But it didn't.
Oh,
Because my npm
coulda, shoulda,
build,
woulda.
yeah, exactly. And I think I know the problem here, because npm build was failing because of a test. It wasn't because
so
the
it kept
test
the previous
was
stack.
bad. Yeah, it wasn't because the test was bad, but because I was not passing properties to the test. So npm build would fail. And most likely, CDK deploy ignores that. I need to figure this one out, because if CDK deploy ignores the failure and just deploys it, that's bad. So this is something that
Yes.
and now it creates things. It works. It will, if I do CDK deploy, so CDK deploy main, it hopefully should deploy everything. So fun.
So I think we found the solution. We've
Yes.
got a very. I agree with this. If there's not enough coffee, there definitely won't be enough bowls.
Yeah, no coffee, no stacks. So
It's more like no coffee, no typey.
Oh man, I woke up this morning at 6 a.m. So I had a very early morning start because I have a full
I feel
day
so
today.
sorry for you. Here is my sympathy.
I know, but I have a full day today, so this is my third coffee of the day. Unlike most of the other times, it's just me with my first coffee, right?
This will be my fourth.
Your first or which one? Which fourth coffee? Fourth, Jesus, man. So yeah, this should deploy. Now I'm not deploying this with the HTTPS redirect just for the. So we created like there's a Route 53 pattern. So let me actually show this to you. There's a Route 53 pattern that that does redirects, right? It basically creates an HTTPS redirect, and this thing basically creates it allows you to redirect from domain A to domain B using HTTPS. Now, we use this exclusively from routing www to headless B
Apex.
Yeah, the Apex one. Yeah. The problem with this one, it creates a CloudFront distribution, right? So that's not the best thing in the world because I think it's an overkill for us to have a CloudFront distribution just for that, right? I think there's maybe a better way to do this, even if we would have to rewrite our application to do that. But having a CloudFront distribution overall is good. But I think in this case, first of all, it increases our deployment time to like 15 minutes. So it's not the best stream-friendly thing. So I would say, yes, Max Payne, we actually do some routing. And oh boy, it failed. But okay, we'll figure out why it failed. We also do some routing here. So here's one thing. We basically redirect HTTPS to HTTP using basically just an action. But we can also, can we do www redirects? Yeah, we can do that on web browsers as well, right? We can.
Yeah. Wait. Let me think. Brain. Yes, because we can direct both of them. Well, okay, no. We can't do we can do redirect if we had a lambda behind it. But what we can do is we can literally www and non-www Apex just route them to the same endpoint internally. Slightly different to doing a redirect. I don't think it really, in what we're building, will make that much of a difference. Yeah. In some cases, it could.
Okay, so I need to see why this failed. Let's go to CloudFormation. I don't want to wait. I think this could be that because it's a different account. Maybe something is broken. I don't know, but it should work. I did deploy it last time. So why did you fail? Why do you die?
Let's go. Ooh, that's a lot of red.
That's a lot of red. I think it's a VPC issue. Create in progress.
Maybe because it's new account. Do we not
fail
have
to create resource graph read property name undefined certificate request? Okay. Oops.
Is that maybe because we commented things out and it's supposed to read a value off it, and now it's
maybe.
Although
I commented a lot of things out. Maybe that could be a thing.
Why don't we just comment them back in?
No, I have not. It's here. So it's. I have a hosted zone, Apex name, certificate, web LB target. The only thing that's gone is the pattern. That's the only thing.
Just go back to the error quickly. I thought it said. So look.
So fail to create resource cannot read property name of undefined. Whoops.
Wait, hold on. This ECS streaming. Sorry, go back.
Certificate.
That's an ECS
resource.
Okay.
So this is basically, I think this is the requester thing here. Where is it? Online something. So this is the certificate.
Oh,
Right?
it's
This
line
should be
something
it.
something.
Line 128. So that should be it. If I go to can I see it on resources? It's all delete complete, but
Just search for not ECS, but certificate.
oops. Yeah, this is the so it's a Lambda function. So it's a Lambda function.
Oh, but remember the Lambda function gets created as part of that pattern.
But it
So
shouldn't.
maybe
It shouldn't.
just run npm build again. Did it not? Because that feels like it's being left over now because of that.
Yeah, fair point. Let me delete this entire stack.
Drop the stack.
I do npm run build because the pattern creates a Lambda function for sure, but I don't think it's this case, right? So Max Payne says, found out recently that I can associate multiple ACM certificates to a single ALB. Absolutely, yes. Is it possible to associate an ECS service to multiple target groups so that new ECS yes, absolutely, yeah.
That was a feature because there was something that a previous colleague and friend of mine was asking for me, like when I joined AWS, can you please get them to build this, please? And then they actually did. I can actually even, because of that chat, I now know the reference, I can send you a link. But yes, we can. You can do that now, which is awesome. You go up here. Boom. Let me see. No, that's EFS. Fargate spots. Nope. Sorry, we talk a lot about containers. I will get that in a second. But he was like jumping up and down because that's the one thing he wanted. Because previously it was annoying having multiple. Because the way one of the deployment patterns we did when we worked together was that there was an internal load balancer as well as an external load balancer. Okay. When we launched a new service, it would connect to the internal one always, and then sometimes we expose it to the external one as well, depending on how you interact with that microservice. And it was like very annoying having two different target groups with two different healthy sets, etc., for internal versus external for the services that were on both sides.
Okay.
Oh wait, I think it was the other way around. Copy link. This one is, the link says support multiple load balancers for the same target group. So let me just double check.
Multiple target groups. He wants multiple target groups.
Yeah.
ECS service for multiple target groups. I mean, I can see how can I do it in CDK. How can I basically, because in this case
you can definitely do it with a bit. Yeah.
Not sure if that's the case. So if this is where's the target groups, it's there's basically I create a listener and just add a target group. Now I can create a new listener, maybe.
Yeah, but it's on the deployment side, because remember this is the link between the load balancer and the target group, not the target group in ECS. Because remember everything is chained. Yeah, because what happens is when you deploy, ECS lets the target group know, hey, listen, here on your hosts, here are the details. Then that target group does the health checks and then tells the load balancer, hey, buddy, some new instances to route traffic to. I'm fairly certain, I've done it by hand with Terraform, so it's doable.
But why would you have multiple target groups then? I mean, it doesn't make sense, right? I mean, if you can have a target group to multiple load balancers. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so he said.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, that's okay. Yeah, then you can do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Like,
sorry.
why would
just
you create
pop it on the screen
groups?
for the other streamers? Yeah.
Having the same. I mean, this target group is basically just defining, what instances are. Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome.
While we are distracted, I'm still trying to figure out if this level of zooming out is fun. Can people let me know if you prefer this or the slightly more zoomed in, where you get to see a little bit more of my face?
And your head seems smaller.
I know.
Like mine. I'm not like mine.
I'm very humble. My head is very small.
I occupy most of the space here.
Now
Okay,
I'm
so
trying to
this,
figure out what a nice background setup is, so
yeah,
trying to get that balance. But yeah, cool. Let's get back
I
to
have
the
my
fun.
monitor here that I usually turned on, but I have it turned off right now. Usually that kind of keeps the it fills up my screen. But yeah,
So before we get to the dad joke, we actually have a local joke. So I'm from a town called Parel, if you pronounce it in Afrikaans, but Paul in English. And it's one of those towns that's known for people that like cars and like racing cars and, pumping out the cars and everything. And there's that local joke like is, how do you turn on a car if you're from Paul? How's it, baby?
um,
I know, terrible. But yeah,
it's a local joke.
it is very local, especially if you know the local the ways. Because obviously my first language isn't English. You might have picked that up by now. Neither is Darko's. But the fun part with that is that in Afrikaans, it's a very, from a linguistics perspective, simple language. Is we've got three tenses: past, present, and future. We've got this weird thing where we do a double not, where we say, I did not do that not, effectively, if you translate it.
Really?
So that often confuses people. And also our plurals are, for some reason in English, it confuses people. So we tend to mix up plurals when you start learning English. It's like, doesn't work.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that Afrikaans is a relatively simple language to learn. That's one of the things I've come across. But for me, it's very much like Dutch. So I don't speak Dutch, but when I hear it, it's like, and I told you I spent a few days watching old South African commercial, like in Afrikaans.
Oh yeah.
And it sounds very Dutch to me. Like, I mean, I can see that it's not Dutch. I know that much, but it's vastly for me, like an untrained ear, it's Dutch.
Oh yeah. So I'm just making sure note quickly. npm build issue due to tests. There we go. Yeah, the thing is, the trips people up is that in English you can be singular or plural, but in Afrikaans we've got jy of julle, which is obviously two different. So a very common Afrikaans thing that you'll hear is like when I start talking about what are use people doing over there, because we think you need to add S for plural. Yeah.
Use. Well, a lot of Americans, they do use like the use as well for multiple people. So. Okay, this seems okay for now. Famous last words.
Touch wood.
If you think being created, like a pipeline is being created here, load balancer. Now this could be the last part of it, the DNS requester. So I'm still not hedging my bets. So let's see what happens here. Yeah, and while that is being created, I think one of the other things we want to work on as well, besides just fixing this problem, is also split other things into stacks. Now, the problem we have in that, and I've mentioned that before, is that if I have my main application here, right? So my application that creates my DNS stack, that creates my, well, in this case, a test stack, which I can just easily remove like that because I don't need it, like so. And it also creates my main stack. The problem is passing information between these stacks is very complex. Or it's not complex, it's not as straightforward as I would like it to be. So the way it does is you have to either export a value, right? Have an exported value of like a DNS name or something that's being created from here, so like a CloudFormation export, and then reference that thing somehow in the other stack. Now, that's okay, but it only works in a single region. So if we wish to expand in multiple regions, exports don't work cross-region because I don't know. Like, I really don't know why that. Like, that's a thing.
There'll probably be an interesting technical reason for it.
I'm sure there's a super complex reason why that doesn't work because of propagation of electrons through space or something like that. But I really don't know in this case why it's that supported. Like
physics.
Physics, yeah. You're right. In Ireland, they say use as well. Yeah. Like for multiple people, use.
And also welcome, Connor. It's one of our regular stream or audience members.
Yes.
Yeah, so this, sorry, just quickly addressing this previous comment about expecting Afrikaans to sound like Dutch. It's the big difference is how we pronounce our Z's and S's almost like in Dutch you hear zay, zoos, those kind of like sounds where we've got hard S's. Afrikaans is a lot more guttural.
Yeah, the Dutch has a lot of soft sh sounds in those things. When I hear the Dutch people shock, they sound like that to me. Like, but I like the Dutch English accent. It's very cool.
Let's have a look.
Hopefully after this we can finally start to refactor things. Now, what do you think, Cobus? What should we first move to a different stack that's possible to move?
I would say the application load balancer. The reason for that is that typically when you start deploying multiple services in one account, you have multiple ones connect reusing the same load balancer. You can obviously spin up a load balancer per service, but that's a little bit wasteful. And also, since we can do path or host-based routing,
right,
we can actually do that. And what would be interesting is to say as a next step or a future episode is to say, how do we start deploying a canary version of our app and put that on a different DNS, for example, and test that out and make sure that it's working before we promote it to the existing one.
Right. Okay, let's
do that. I'd say let's move our...
I would basically just then do ALB like that. I copied the example here. I don't need this. I'm gonna remove all of this.
We don't want another hosted zone, please.
Yeah, no. So let's do it like this, ALB stack. Do you want to just ALB or the entire network stack?
Let's think quickly. Entire network stack would be
VPC and this.
Well, then definitely, because I definitely don't want to create a VPC per service. So let's do that.
Okay.
Yeah. I normally, instead of this, I normally call it the environment base.
Okay.
I found that it's more like, what do you call it, a better group noun, because we're not going to just do networking in there. We might do things like shared build jobs and things like that. So I just found in the past that
that's fine. Like props like that. Okay, so this should be okay now. I just want to import it here as well. To do that, you just create a new import thing and do base. No, not bean. It's base. Oh, base. No, env base. Sorry, env base stack like that.
Yeah.
And do env. Actually, I called it ALB stack, but I'm gonna rename it so. ALB stack. That's bad. So if I go to me actually took me.
I love all the typing to just move the cursor one or two things, but I know it's Vim chords.
Yeah. Actually, mvlib ALB stack env base stack.
Well, we're doing this. I told Darko last week that we did, for those who attended the EMEA AWS Summit, we did our recordings for those, I think it was April or May. We did our recordings. Yeah. It was a lot of, because obviously with COVID, there was a bit of fun trying to figure out how to do a massive online conference. And part of that meant that we had some tight deadlines to get things done. So the person who was running with handling the recordings and things was awesome and sent us nice posters, which is this little one. So,
oh man, yours is so glossy.
Well, mine is yours wrapped or not, or framed? Because my one is printed on Perspex. Where's Darko's one? In any case, so the fun part here is that they mailed it to me, and it took more than 3 months to get here just because of the COVID. I can almost tell you. Have you taken off the blue wrapping in the front? Because that'll also explain why the colors are a bit off.
I don't have blue wrapping in the front. I have something in the front.
No. Trust me, that's blue wrapping. Pull it off.
Oh.
Yes. It's I've watched a few creative videos with YouTube, and it's actually how they put it on top of the Perspex to protect it, but it's got a slight blue color to it, so which you'll see as soon as you rip it off. I was also initially going like, why is the color a little bit like not good? It took me a moment.
I'm gonna leave that for later on because that's a special occasion, peeling off paper, peeling off plastic.
You're gonna start going like, ooh.
Oh wait, I need to get ready for that.
Imagine it came with bubble wrap as well.
Has this successfully created? It still does. I think it's still working on
Cool.
on something. It's still being. Oh, it's still the custom resource thing. Okay, that's fine. It's still validating the DNS. That's okay. We can wait for that. So basically, we want to define a few things. We want to define VPCs here again, right? We want to define load balancers. Now, the problem here is going to be that we need to find a way how to pass these things, right, across things besides just doing exports, right? So let's have a look at the documentation. I want to first see VPCs.
Can we do?
Right?
Could we? I'm assuming we can do lookups like we do for the Route 53.
I don't know. That's one of the things I want to see here. If we can do like a VPC lookup.
That'll be interesting, yeah.
Yeah. So if I do VPC like that.
While you do that, sorry, I'm like a kid in a candy store at the moment because I played around in my office and I actually did some Python coding this weekend, which was very interesting. But this is not final because this definitely doesn't look good.
You said you're doing Python coding. I was and you left. I thought, are you gonna get some Python code on paper or something?
No, you can't see it really, because of the light. I'm trying to make my stream setup a little bit more interesting. So I added. You can't really see them now. So lights zigzagging across the shelf. But yeah,
I see a bit of
the
Python.
Python. Yeah, but it's very.
Okay, here's a good example. You can use the stack 1 creates this thing. Interface extends CDK prop. But this is
so you can pass the entire object, that's why you need an interface. So you can pass the entire object, not just a string part of it. So that's actually quite nice.
If this would work, this is amazing. Because if this works, this is amazing. Because public read only structure
and coffee time.
Because this means that I can create a stack. Okay, there's also from lookup, so it works. Okay, we can do lookups as well. That's fine. But
I'd rather pass it this way because lookup can have a mistake and it takes longer. Yeah.
Ooh. Then let's wait just for this to finish. But let's start building out our code first of all. So open up the bean streaming, the main stack, right? This one. No, bean streaming.
Sorry, my sidekick wants to come in.
Okay, the sidekick is a wonderful dog. Hello there. Hiya, puppy. So, VPC. So, great thing about this is it's just a VPC. Nothing special.
And
the beauty.
Not to be confused with Mr. Sidekick for those who haven't met him yet. Let me get his face up there. Yeah.
Mr. Sidekick is.
Yes. It's a monitor stand that because it can swivel 90 degrees, he's got a nice smoke. He usually has his own webcam, but because I'm moving everything around, I haven't gotten around to setting up his little corner yet.
Okay, so I moved the VPC because it's a single line. The thing we have to move now is the load balancer, the web listener. I'm going to be keeping here. Are we going to keep the target group here?
Yes. No.
Are we going to do all the things? Are we? So here's what should we move? Should we move the load balancer only and then keep the listeners and targets?
Because remember, we're not going to define new listeners per service. The listeners are on port 80 and port 443 load balancer level, so they need to move. Cool. But you know what that means with regards to the targets, right?
We create targets within here, right?
Yes. So you cannot create a load balancer listener without giving it a default target, because guess what? It needs to route that request somewhere, which means that we have to have a default. Where do I send a request when all else fails? So usually what I did in the past is that I would have a default error container or 404 container it would actually be interesting to see how hard it is to add a lambda that just says 404 not found as a default
S3
response.
bucket. S3 bucket. Can you do S3 bucket? No, you can't.
Now, I wouldn't want to. S3 feels like then we have to create the bucket and all that, where a single lambda literally just says response return 404. Or we can make it a container and use our Nyan cat.
That's it. But wait, no, that creating a new container just for this is an overkill. I think just that's wasted CPU cycles. But wondering.
It's a Nyan cat. Is it wasted?
Okay, Nyan cat is never a wasted CPU cycle. That's true.
But yeah, I agree with you. It's wasteful.
Okay, so if we create a listener must have a target. Does it?
Yes.
Or can we create a listener without a target? Really?
Nope. You can't. It has to have, because when the listener itself has got that catch or that rule priority of evaluating rules,
Correct.
and at the very bottom it has to have, when all else has failed, where do I send the request?
But can we create a target with no targets?
That is a fun question. You should be able to. Let's see if that works, because what will happen is, so here's another little interesting side note, is what do you think happens when there are no healthy instances or endpoints inside a target group with routing?
You get a 502 gateway error. So
no. Well, the subtle difference. If there aren't any services behind it, then I think you'll get the 502.
Okay.
If there are services but they're all unhealthy, what happens then?
Gateway timeout.
Nope.
Okay.
All the backends, because it can't figure out which one is healthy, so it just sends the request round robin to all of them.
Well, then you get a gateway timeout. I think, yeah. You get a gateway timeout.
If they are unhealthy. I've had some weird situations where they were like, they could still respond kind of, but it gets...
Yeah, because I remember, I get this error always, like I even remember from classical load balancers that you would get this, gateway timeout, and that was always the thing. Oh, your instances are not healthy. So, but okay. So, then I would create basically, but we can create a target group there and just add targets here, right? We can import.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. So I'll create a listener on that side. Yeah.
Hold on. Brain.
So we create a target group there.
Yes. Sorry. I had to first visualize it. Yes.
That's not flexible enough. I don't like it because
Why?
means we have to define parts of this service of this application of this whatever. We need to define those parts in the environment base stack. I don't like that.
Well, the only parts we define there is the application load balancer along with the listeners. So remember, what will happen is when we bring the service up, we create its own target group for it that exposes the service.
Yeah.
And then we move that. So
yes,
that's how you do it.
That's how you do it. But here's the thing. It's 3 separate stacks. So when I create the base stack, it just creates the base stack. This doesn't exist. It's not aware of this. So there's no target group at all.
Yes, but that's what I'm saying. We need to, in the base, create a target group that's, for example, using that lambda just to return a 404. Okay. That we'll have to do. We don't have a choice. Okay. Quickly, hi to Yo-Yo Hawk and Mergen. Today, we are continuing with our CDK adventure where we are building out a production-ready ECS cluster. Yes. And what we're currently doing is we are in the process of splitting out the stack into multiple stacks because we want to be able to not create everything every single time and lose things like our DNS. And what we're specifically doing now is we're starting to split out the shared infrastructure. So we're taking out our application load balancer and VPC and moving that into a new stack called the environment base. And the intention there is that once we have it in there, we can just start deploying individual services. And we're now having the discussion around which specific parts are or live where. Because the discussion we're having is that a load balancer has to have some kind of target group because otherwise it can't route the request and you can't set up the listener. So our thing now was like, this target group will have one for the actual service living with the service infrastructure.
Correct.
And then we need to probably create one, and that's what we're to figure out now, probably create one with the base infrastructure that handles our 404. And we're going to look at how we can handle that.
Failed to create resource in the state certificate validated. So our lovely custom resource that validates the certificate failed because DNS. I don't like this. So okay, I'll in any case I'll just remove all this and we're gonna refactor it a bit, right? So we're gonna try to refactor it. It should work. It failed because of certificate validation. That's just fine. So
Also, sorry, just quickly finishing up the answer for Mergen is that this is a continuous, long-running series of episodes where we start building things out over the course of a couple of weeks. So we've been at this now for probably about 7, 8, 9 episodes, I think. And what I'll do quickly is I'll pop our banner on with our where it's being, there we go, where the previous episodes are. Just if you do want to follow up on that. And we are busy labeling all of them correctly because initially we just said bean streaming and date, which is super useful for finding out what we were doing that day.
Exactly.
Yes, sarcasm is heavy on a Monday.
So yeah, most likely this is going to be better. Okay.
Yeah.
So then let's do it like this. So we need to move all the things. So
Yes.
what did we say we want to move to the? Do we create
Load
certificate
balancer?
creation? Is certificate creation on the
Yep.
on the base side?
Yep. Because remember, that's a shared certificate. Remember, we're now entering the realm of where do we split shared infrastructure between service infrastructure.
Right.
And this is always when you've got one service running, then it's easy. But as soon as you go 2 services,
Got it.
and that's why we're doing this is to make sure that, hey, listen,
We can do multiple services.
figure that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the A records, do we move A records there or no?
Yep,
We have-
same. Because remember, that's that. Think of it this way: if we duplicate this file and pull the service 2, will we have clashes? And the answer for this is yes. We can't assign 2 alias records to point to our load balancer. Well, you can, but you shouldn't because that's an issue.
But the A records will be basically changed. We can do them dynamically, right? Because and let me take that another way. If I clone this thing and I create it, I will also need to modify the base stack so I include another record for that second.
No. Remember, we're building services, so that assumes that you want to host that new service on a different domain or subdomain.
Okay, good.
We're probably going to do it path-based, so let's figure that out first. Yeah.
So basically all
'Cause
of
what-
this, like that.
So I've actually done both of them as a mixture in the past, where what we did is externally we would expose the microservices just as a path to the actual main domain, but then internally on the internal load balance, it uses actual subdomains, and that's where it really gets interesting.
Okay. So it's complaining now that a lot of things are missing. That's all fine.
Quickly hop in here. Cool. While we'll do that, let me quickly pop some more banners because it's almost 12 o'clock. Wait, I'll wait for 12:01 to share my joke because then hopefully we've got some new people joining on the hour since I already spoiled the joke earlier. So I'll keep you in suspense. You won't believe the joke that this DA put online.
Yes.
No, I'm just kidding. We don't do clickbait.
It's not clickbait if it's a good joke. That's my
Yes.
idea. So
Yeah.
it's never clickbait if it's good content. If you'll never guess what I did and you did nothing, that's clickbait. But if you say you never guess what I did and you just, did something super horrible or super amazing.
No,
that's fine.
but if I don't share, you will never know. So therefore the title is 100% accurate. You will never know what this person did.
Fair point.
It's factually true.
Fair point. So why is this thing complaining? These things
What is it saying?
cannot find where we'll be.
And this is...
Cannot find name.
Oh. No, you're no. Line 20. Hint, hint. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Line 20.
Ooh.
What's that?
Ooh.
Uh-huh.
Ooh.
There we go. And voila.
That's fine. Okay, so
Trust me, I had some weird Python indentation this weekend. It was interesting.
figure this out. That's something. Domain name, Apex name, so that's fine. I need to figure this out. And hosted zone, that's all fine. I need to 53 targets.
Uncommented. We want to YOLO this.
It's not gonna work.
I'm joking, yeah.
AWS route 52 targets. That's okay. So there's gonna be a bunch of things. I need to figure out first of all how to migrate things between these things. So jokes.
We are definitely going to do this. If you were here on Friday, I had a meetup where I had to do jokes to entertain people. Or the previous Friday, I can't remember. But yeah, I've got a lot of dad jokes ready in case.
So,
But yeah, let's see.
I cannot do targets here. I cannot add targets to the base stack. So this is something I have to remove. There's no way for me to do targets here. I need to do add targets in something
Why?
else.
I don't
Because
agree.
this you have to understand the hierarchy of this one. So it's not Terraform. It doesn't create all in one go.
No. Terraform
You
also
create
doesn't the way
things
I
in
do
a
it.
separate 3 goes, right? So you have creating DNS, you create your
Mhm.
base,
Yep.
and then you create the main. The base here is looking for a target called web app ECS service, which is an
Yes.
ECS service sitting in the main stack.
Yes.
And I cannot do this. I have to do dummy
Correct.
targets, right?
No. This is the where we have to create a new target group. Because remember, this is the one that's going to be our 404 endpoint effectively.
Okay, got it.
So we
So
can
if
call it default. Just call it like default target group.
it's ELBv2 target group, right?
Yeah. Thanks, Real Fernie. And also for those on the stream that haven't yet subscribed, we would love you to subscribe because we want to name the channel, and we are, I think, 22 or 21 people shy of being able to name the channel. And there will be a lot more things coming there soon.
Yes, we need folks. So I need to figure out, let's go bouncing v2. Is there a target group thing? Application target group. Application target group. What is the thing we need? We don't need nothing here. I can do a blank target group. That's amazing. I need that.
Yes.
So
Yeah, because remember, it's this is now where the delegation of responsibilities come in. It'll be interesting to see how it handles this. Like we discussed earlier, I would expect that 503 or 502 because it's a server-side error in terms of not being able to read. Because the load balancer just needs the target group, and the target group is responsible for knowing where to or which places can accept the request.
correct. So in this case, basically just doing the default target group like that. Right? Is it like
Yeah.
that? Would it work? Plus container root. Wait, it's something else. It's not. This is not targets. I need to target group name, and then it's def thing. This one, yes. So
Yeah.
these are just directly targets. These are not a target group. It creates a target group for you. Target group string. Oops. Def target group. This one.
Let's have a look.
This is not a string. This should be a target.
I would actually expect it. I don't. Just show me where you see the target group name, because that feels a bit weird.
Okay, that's fair point. So let me have a look.
I would expect the object. I don't expect the name, because the name would imply it needs to do a lookup internally, and the way I've seen CDK do that so far is.
So it's application listener. We go into this object, and the properties we are looking for. So actually, the method I'm looking for is add target groups, not targets.
Yes. What I was going to say is when you do the clicking, slow down a little bit, because I see it takes a little bit of time for StreamYard to actually bring up the screens.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been trying to follow it, so it's like floop, 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 floop.
Okay, fair point. So
I will also try to speak slower. I just realized 4 coffees in, I might be speeding up a little bit.
Target groups. Targets.
Oh, getting excited. 2 minutes till I get to put my joke up.
Target groups.
It's terrible, don't worry.
We all want horrible, terrible jokes. Second.
Yeah, I also have to click that button.
you get it, right?
Yeah.
Like that.
For those who are curious, we use Chime internally for all our calls, and when we schedule meetings, there's a mechanism that you can add additional recipients to the meeting, and it automatically pops up the call. And we had a call conflict for today's session. And the good news for you is that we are declining the call and staying online.
Yes. Okay, application target groups, that's fine. The properties, do I need to find a port as well? There's no ports here.
Yes, because the target group itself knows how to reach the service. Because when you define a target group, it knows where and what ports and things. So from the listener, remember the listener needs to know about what port. Let's just see. Why did we have a port previously then? That's a very interesting question.
I don't know. Because the listener is here. I don't know. Target
Because
groups.
you can have different targets inside a target group. Okay, yes. I think if it's an application target group, it needs the port because that's a default on the EC2 hosts. If it's Fargate, same story. If it's
so you can define a port here, absolutely. Like when you define a target group, right? Application target group, which I'm creating here, but I have not defined anything here. I can do port, I guess. So if I go here and then like that, create the new thing like so, and wabam, wabam, and then port is 80. But it's still missing a bunch of things. Length, pop, push, concat. What? Application target group is missing the following properties from type I application target group, and this is the thing it's looking for. So I application target group. Oh wait. I think is it pop?
Oh, it's a list.
It's a list.
There we go. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
So this is a default target group which has nothing on it, right? So it should absolutely fail. Well, it should create, but there should be nothing there. So that's fine. I'm happy with that. Then I would basically create a new target group later on in the main stack.
Yeah.
Which would modify this load balancer. Not modify. It would add a new target group to the same listener.
New rule. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
because we'll get into that.
And do you want to skip certificates for now in the SSL, just so we were doing this faster? Because if I keep on doing certificates, it takes 10 minutes for this to happen. So I would skip certificates for the time being.
Okay.
And remove.
I would definitely want. Let's leave it for closer to the end because I would expect, given that we have set up our DNS this morning already, that it should be like a few seconds to do that. But I agree with you.
Yeah. So I just want to make sure that because it's easy to implement. I just want to make sure that our initial thing works, just like passing VPCs back and forth and passing load balancers back and forth, right? So like I have a VPC here that I want to export to the other one, right? So
yes,
I want to make sure
let's get that going first.
So I want to take this example that I've seen here on VPC somewhere. Where did I see that one? Okay.
Let's have a look there. Sorry, I'm just quickly checking for comments here. For those that have joined us now on the hour, welcome. This is the, and to confuse people, bi-weekly, which means twice a week, not every second week, even though it can mean both, session of Bean Streaming, where Darko and myself are busy building the things in real time to show you how we learn and how we figure out the documentation. And at the moment, we are busy building a production-ready ECS cluster with at least 2 services. And we built out... So far, it was one service, and now we're busy splitting the stack into multiple stacks because we have reusable infrastructure like our load balancer, which is what we are currently working on today, as well as, for example, our DNS, which we previously kept on recreating the Route 53 zone, which meant that our name service changed, which means that we had to spend time waiting for DNS because it's always DNS. And now what we've done is that, sorry, I just need to quickly ask people to be slightly more quiet out here. Back in a second. Darko, continue.
We cannot hear anything anyway. So you're using noise cancelling. So I'm
not sure sorry. It's one. So what I'm hearing is stuff going through my noise cancelling headphones and including my dog that's jumping up the door. So it's distracting me. But yeah, if you can't hear it, all is good.
I can't hear anything. So,
yeah.
So if I define it like this, like a read-only VPC, unused label, that's all fine. Declaration of statement expected. Class stack 1. Okay, no, it's actually here, and then it's here. Right.
Let me take this. Okay, cool. I'll take this question while you continue quickly. So the Smasher, you're asking about a web server ELB RDS. So one thing that I would ask there is that with your security group that you've set up between the database server and the web servers, how are you referencing that? Because are you doing it? Are you referencing the security group around the web server and saying allow that in on port 3306? Is the first question. The second question is, can you drop in a little bit more detail about your network setup? Are you using private subnets, different VPCs? Where is your database setup, etc.? Because you could, there are quite a few things there. So throw in the questions, and we'll take them in between the building that we're doing in the stream.
So, and this is my understanding right now. So let's go look. What did I do here? Where's my end base? Yes. So I've created like basically two exports here, or creating two read-only properties that are available after the stack has been created. One is called VPC. The other one called LB. Basically, VPC points to a VPC object, and the other one points to a load balancer object. Now, looking at the example code here, I think this should work. So if this VPC equals now,
let's see.
I just wonder if I need to call it somehow specifically like VPC, or is any name is fine as well. So this is something I need
remember that VPC that you can specify is the variable up there, the public read only.
Yeah.
That's how you're exposing it. But you can call it whatever you want.
Yeah,
so
and then this thing is like an interface, which is the same interface as we did like properties. So I don't need to do anything in this case. I basically just need to go here on my main stack and define another thing here like that.
Remember the interface in, because I know you haven't done a lot of Java, is the defining what's the contract between the different concrete implementations. So that just tells us what are the methods and what are the properties. So by defining that public read-only that's how we actually expose it via that interface object. Well, not object, but interface.
Okay.
Feels like a Java interview. What is polymorphism?
What? So let me just have a look at the application load balancer. I want to see what the load balancer creates, what kind of an object it creates. I think it's an I application load balancer. Yeah, okay. So the interface now, basically the interface on the main stack imports these two things. So the LB and the VPC. So basically what can I do here when I search for, because I need to remove the VPC from here. So if I go VPC and remove it like that completely, it's going to complain that the VPC doesn't exist. And then if I go to my load balancer, I can remove my load balancer, my listener, basically everything.
Well, you're doing that quickly. This question around the VPC setup being used. So to troubleshoot that kind of security group setup, Kano is correct that you can't ping unless you open up ICMP protocol between the different services. But make sure that your web servers over here have got a security group around them, and that'll need allow a request in from the load balancer. Then what you do is on this side for your database security group, in there add a rule for TCP 3306, and then when it says the list of IPs, don't put IP in there, put the actual name of that other security group from your web servers over here, because that's how it works. And one of the nice features of security groups, because it allows you to, regardless of what the web server's IP is, actually reference just whatever is contained inside that security group and allow them in. Okay, let me see quickly. More information. RDS, yep. Yeah, so that's fine, the Smasher. Can you just say... Yeah, so what rule have you got in your RDS security group? What's the target there? Is it an IP range? Is it everything? How are you opening up port 3306 for your RDS instance? Also quickly, this other question, yes, that's an interview question. It also gives away my age a bit, because as with everything, there's fashion and there's when things are in vogue and not, which means that people currently do it or not, or think they should do it. So standard questions when I started interviewing was like, what is polymorphism? How do you, what's the difference between overriding and overloading methods? How would you describe the difference between an interface and an abstract class and a concrete class? All of those fun things with Java. So how will we be doing?
So props.lb add listener. No, target group. How can I do something here? How do I add a target group? So I want to.
You would need to target group goes to the listener because the listener has got the routing rules.
But we already have the listener, right? So
Yes, but you add the rule to the listener's list of rules for the listener. So when you create a listener by default, even though we don't specify it, it creates a default rule.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry, I have to let the dog out.
Okay. Okay, add listener is the property here we can do. Okay, we need a listener actually. So application listener comes from somewhere else. So we may not need to.
Sorry about that.
That's fine. We may not need to pass the application load balancer here, but we can do it from application listener. Wait, I need to check this out again. So looking at the code again, this thing. Where's my load balancer? So add listener. Okay, I don't have a listener web LB listener, so I can actually expose this thing.
Yes.
And then use that listener at the other side to add targets to it, right? Add a rule, yes. Right? So I need to expose a listener. So that would be basically public read only. Listener like that. Application load balancer listener like that. Okay, then basically go here and add. I can do LB listener.
Oh, this brings back memories. Having to define things in the concrete as well as in the interface. It's
application load balance.
Cool. Continue with the Smasher's comment. Challenge that is happening with this thing. DB security group only have zip. So now the question becomes just quickly to double check the basics. You sure you are running a MySQL database instance? And also, can you tell me what subnets you are using for the RDS instance as well as the web service that you're launching? Because you sometimes are able to launch them in different subnets, and that might be a factor as well. Cool. Yeah, here we go.
Web ECS service. Yeah, I do that. Is that the service? Yeah. And then port.
Yes. Yes, and there should be some kind of rule now that we need to add to say how does it route to it.
Okay. Props lb listener dot add.
Yeah.
There is no such thing. So application listener. What do we have for application listener? We have add action. Add target groups.
No,
we're not. Rule we can create.
Yes, sorry. I was about to say we don't want to do an action listener because we've got the listener. It's a listener rule now.
So we have a listener.
Yes.
Okay. Then let's do it like this one. So, but do we have? Okay, do we have to add targets to a listener?
You add the target to the listener rule. Yes, if I remember correctly. Okay. So we want to add. Because remember, what's going to happen now is that by adding another set of target groups to our listener, it then will split the traffic between them because of the default. If I remember correctly, I'm trying to think. It's been a while since I've had to do this from scratch.
Okay, so So I cannot add a rule to a listener, so I need to create a rule first, and then because looking at the listener, right? So I'm looking at the listener. There is no method add rule, right? So I can add targets, and that's it. So if I go to listener rule as an object, I can go here and define a new listener rule. So I would do it like this then. Const web lb listener rule equals new elb v2 dot application listener rule. 1 second. I need to click.
I'm not curious. I need to double.
I have my chime ringing again. Oh, I clicked the decline thing. Oops.
So I'm very curious.
Mouse back here.
I want to say that rule. That rule sits on the load balancer. No, it's on the listener. It has to be on the listener. Yeah, it's definitely on the listener. Yeah.
So okay, I'm going to find a listener rule, and it's going to be this web LB listener, like that, and then properties. What are the properties I need to define here? I need to define a listener. That's props.lb listener. That's fine. And priority number 1, right? Is this just a number, right? Priority 1.
Yeah, it's a number, I think, between 1 and 999.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
although, past experience, make it 10, not 1.
Okay.
The reason is when you start putting services, especially if you're not going to have like hundreds of services behind one, it's that do them like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. The reason is at some point, someone's going to ask you, oh, can you make this a higher priority than something else? And then reconfiguring all of those will have some downtime when it removes it and adds it again. It becomes messy.
Got it.
So having these gaps is useful. Quickly, the Smasher. If it's a default VPC and using the subnets, they should all be able to communicate with each other. Trying to figure out what else it could be. Can you just double check if your RDS instance isn't configured to be public? Because that sometimes messes with the routing as well. Because then it might be trying to connect it from outside, in which case it won't work because you can't share. If you've got, let's say, web server, DB server, and it goes outside of the VPC back in again, that security group information rules won't apply because it refers to the internal IPs inside the VPC and not that external IP of your NAT gateways. Well, they're in the default VPC, so the internet gateway, which is a whole list of IPs. Here's a nice question for you, Darko, while you type furiously.
Deploying to set multiple regions is super simple. It's just defining multiple stacks inside of CDK. Now, the implementation of stack sets is not part of CDK per se. Basically, what you can do is define multiple stacks in this case. So, Santos, have a look at this piece of code. So, if you see here, line 13, I'm creating a new stack. It's just the DNS stack, but I define which region and which account. So if I would change the region here to something else, it would create that account in that region. Now, it makes no sense because this is Route 53 stack, but if I would do things here to like in multiple regions, this is how it would perform. I can also do the same thing, for example. I want to show you something. I have an example somewhere. So if I go to repos, this one, if I do Route 53 global, then this is in Python, but it's the same thing. So 53 global, actually no, app.py. So I have two stacks here, the exact same stack. So it's the same stack name, everything else. The only thing it has different names. And one of the things I'm doing here is just deploying one in Dublin and one in Sydney. That's the only thing you need. So if you want to deploy this to Sydney, you would do CDK deploy Sydney. If you want to deploy it to Dublin, CDK deploy Dublin. And that's it. It will deploy the same stack, the exact same stack to multiple regions. So that's how it would work. Okay, I think this would work. So I create a target group here, like that, and the listener rule. And then I have to do like WebLB target group like that. So I don't need to add targets because I've created a target group already. And the listener rule, that's it. I don't need to do anything here. I think
that should be it. Let's see. We've got 11 minutes to see.
I have a feeling this cannot work. Like this is impossible to work. But you know what?
No, you can create target groups without. You can create target groups without targets.
Yeah, I've been wrong before, so let's see. I'm gonna have to run npm run build, and we're gonna deploy the. Oh, we need to. Wait, it's gonna fail.
So on that, while it's failing, I just remembered one of those jokes that appeals to this. Like you can have a target without a target, which is what do you call Postman Pat once he's got if he gets fired?
Who?
What do you call Postman Pat when he gets fired? You know,
know.
that
I
little
don't know who
English thing,
Postman Pat
Postman Pat.
I don't know, but okay.
Pat.
It's so bad, it's good. Oh man. Okay. So env base app, and let's call it base, like so.
Mhm.
Actually, let me just copy this entire thing. I don't really mind. Like so.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to, after the stream, go double check exactly what it is that my daughter's up to, because I just hear the dog barking through my headset. Yeah, it's
Okay.
she's no, it's not. No, it's we've got a nanny that's looking after. It just sounds like when my dog is barking this much that either she's holding food that she wants, or trying to get to food that she wants, or
Okay.
being chased around.
Why is this not working? Main stack props. Why don't you work?
Maybe a bracket again.
Main stack props. DNS name.
Cool. Let's have a look quick.
This seems fine. I'm not using these variables at all, so I don't care about these things for now.
Sorry. I'm
go
being
ahead, go
very
ahead.
rude this stream, but I just have to go check because I'm concerned now what's going on here.
Go ahead. So it's complaining here that it cannot assign these properties to that thing. It just could be that I do something wrong with my interface. Why is this not working? DNS name, interface properties. This seems okay. Do I need to define it like that? And this is TypeScript, so it's very loose on that thing as well. DNS name, region. Why are you not listening to me? Stream CDK stack, that's all fine. I'm importing that thing, and it says argument type DNS name cannot work. But why? DNS name. Region string account string is missing the following properties: main stack properties, VPC, LP listener. Aha! Okay, it's missing properties. That's fine. Okay, I get it. Why I get the problem. So it was missing properties which I defined in the interfaces because you need to define those things, otherwise it won't work. So if I do VPC, and that's basically env-base stack.vpc, right? That should be it. And then the LB should be env-base stack. I mean, if this worked, this is all I want in my life. This is basically this is nirvana. If this works,
is this it? Do you not want anything else? Wow.
Nope, I'm fine. I'm listening.
Not more coffee?
Maybe. Wait a second. I'm not sure which is the thing I've defined here. So listener. Okay, a listener. I just want to make sure that I have used the correct name because it seems listener. Aha. Listener.
English spelling.
Yeah.
Because especially with German, because I mean, I would expect it without the E. Does anybody on the stream want a dog?
No, he's a good doggo. Doesn't exist. I want to see an example here. So stack one VPC.
Sorry, it is lunchtime, and because we feed any leftover food from the kids to the dog to not waste food, she's now gotten the idea in her head that when she smells that food, it means it's her food. And now she's upset why she hasn't gotten any food yet.
Okay. I have a cat that's very complaining about it, but I close my door and I cannot hear it. So if it's hungry while I'm streaming or something like that, he'll manage until I get back to the kitchen. So okay, so
what are we struggling with?
So now it doesn't work. It's not Nirvana. So it's complaining about these things. So it says it doesn't have property, does not exist on type of blah, the stack, right? So
Cool.
I cannot use the stack one VPC.
Just show me the stack one VPC quickly, or the interface.
Stack one, or not stack one. This is basic. It should come from here, right? So it should come from here.
No. Remember, show me the interface.
That's fine. It's not complaining about that one. It's complaining about, see, it has those things, right? It's complaining about the env base stack. The base stack is missing the does not exist this type of VPC. So I cannot do it this way. That's the problem. So const wait, I think I know why.
I'm curious now. Tell me why. Oh, because there's no object interface.
Yeah, exactly.
There we go. Yes. You were okay. You were referencing the class and not the actual concrete implementation.
Yes.
Cool. The Smasher, sorry, I see you quickly went to the kitchen. No worries there. I've also been in and out a couple of times since. Basically, the last bit that I'm interested about your setup is whether or not we did cover the ODS is not public. This seems like a very weird one. Maybe just check network, although so you literally, just to confirm, you created a web server with a load balancer inside the default VPC. Did you create your ODS instance inside the same default VPC? The only thing I could think of is that for some reason your ODS instance is you did select MySQL and not Postgres by accident. Yeah, that's a little bit weird one. Ooh, we're hard coding the DNS. If only we had a global.
If only I would have something better. But I'm doing this to fix this problem now because I really want to see if this works. Like this is like if this works, this is gonna be my Christmas. This is something I wanted. Like I was complaining this is not possible that you have to do exports, and people were telling me, oh, you have to do exports. But if it's this way, I'm happy. It may not work like cross region. That's fine. So if I do CDK deploy and base. What did I type? Deploy.
What's the deploy? What's that band? The band that sings this. They always have very good music videos. Animated, not animated. I'm happy. I'm feeling sad. I've got sunshine in a bag.
Gorillas.
I want to say. There we go.
Gorillas.
I've been listening to Arctic Monkeys recently, so I couldn't figure out. Well, different primate. Well, not different primate. A primate versus a mammal. If you want to get technical.
Okay, there's a few things.
Yes.
At least one of conditions host header pattern is required defining load balancer rules. So load balancer.
Yes.
Okay. VPC
Do you know why?
required for non-lambda. A listener rule needs at least one action. So
yes.
Okay.
Cool. So let's grab these one by one. First, let's sort out the listener that we created. There we go. Target group. Yes. Port 80 web listener. Remember, because we removed that pattern. Didn't that pattern
has nothing to do with this. Pattern is just route 53. That's it.
Are you sure? What creates a lambda for us?
So we the certificate thing creates a lambda. Yes. There's another thing that we can do here. So this is the action, right? It basically redirects HTTP to HTTPS.
Yes.
But that's it, right?
But there was something that created, because remember, we did fix the fact that you can redirect from port 80 to port 443.
This is the thing we created. But we don't need this now because there's no HTTPS. That's fine. We can just completely ignore this. So let me actually try to see how this...
No, but you see, that's the problem. By ignoring it, that's what's creating part of the problem. Because remember, that was the thing that was listening on port 80.
That's fine. That's fine. I'm removing the HTTPS completely now. So there's no HTTPS. We don't care about
Yeah,
it.
but what was yes, but that little bit over there that did the redirect added the listener thing for us on port 80, because at the moment we're trying to create a listener with nothing, where that bit provided this.
But we're creating a listener as well, but with an empty target group. It adds a target group, right? So
Okay.
it has the web listener here, adds a target group, this one, which is empty,
Okay.
nothing there, right? So it creates a blank target group.
Okay.
So if I do CDK deploy base,
let's see quickly.
Still validation fails. That's fine. I expected this.
Cool.
So, at least one conditions, host header patterns requiring defining a load balancer rule. So, validation failed. Base, main. A VPC is required for an non-lambda target group. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We can do that. So if I do VPC, it's going to be my VPC like that. That's fine.
Yeah.
And just in the other one, and here I have also a target group, and I can do a VPC, and that's props.vpc. That's fine.
Cool.
Okay, that will work. So, and the only thing is listener rules needs one action. So, and that's in the main thing, right? So that's in the, that's here, the listener rule. So if I would do action, I need to
and it should be default. Action. There should be a default option here. Let's see what the documentation says.
So action, there's a listener action. And how do I create a listener action? I guess it's another object or a thing. Properties next, and then a listener action. What? So what to do when a clients make a request to a listener? Some actions require combining one, multiple actions change. Okay, that's not how I expected it to work. So because here, this is the listener rule, right? So creator is the listener rule in this case. And it requires an action, but it does not require an action. I mean, according to this thing, a listener, a target groups, and an action.
I'm trying to think what we had previously, because I don't remember us having to add listener rules.
No, we didn't. No, we just added.
Just have a look. And we added the target to the actual listener when we created a new listener object. Just double check that, because that might be the way that it does the default if you specify the target group inside the actual listener.
So we have...
That'll be in the main stack?
Yeah, this is the main stack. So we create a target group here.
Yeah, and a service, and where's the listener?
Listener is...
Because that's the listener rule. I expect it to be further down because it needs to be able to reference.
We have not created... The listener we created in the base stack. So it references...
Oh, sorry, not main. Sorry. I'm confusing main and base. If we go back to the base.
Okay.
Yeah, where does it show the...
This is the base. So we create a listener.
See there we go. That's the problem. So there we need to specify the target group, I think. I would expect us to be able to. I want to disagree with you.
But I can't define a target group here because this is being created in the base. And there's nothing in main, right? So because a listener, so if I go here, so application, do I do it?
Okay, here we go. Look for default action on the load on the listener. Is there something on default action?
Default action. There is a default action. Yes.
Yes. So see, that's the one, but it's optional.
Yeah.
Wow.
Default action takes request for the listener. This allows full control of the action.
I would not. Let me just double check the docs that I'm looking at here, because I would not expect that to be optional.
Because I can create the listener without anything. The only thing that's required is a load balancer, right?
Then CDK does something in the background, because you cannot create a listener without specifying the default action. It's physically not possible. As in, you have to.
Really?
I'm
It's been a while,
99%
so
sure of that.
I'm just
Yeah.
trying to visualize this in my head right now. So load balancer. Let's take an example load balancer I have here. I have an load balancer. Oh, okay. Oh, it's a new account. So application load balancer like that.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Give it a quick name.
HTTP.
You've got to select the subnets, eh?
With his own, that's fine.
Yeah, AZ. No, you have to pick AZ, say. Otherwise, it can't deploy the
right.
backing instances. Yeah, just go tickety tick. Oh, yeah, okay, one is fine.
Not.
Oh.
Why
Yes.
not?
Yeah.
I'll
Boom.
select this one. Doesn't matter. Routing.
Yeah.
Create a target group.
Yep.
New target group. Call it whatever. Instance. Health checks.
Yep. That's
targets.
fine.
I have no targets. Preview.
No,
create.
that's
So I
fine.
can have so I can have an empty target group.
Yes. Right.
A listener.
Now. Yes. Now. See.
Has the default rule. Okay.
Yes. But because it hooked that up for you. So that's why I think it does similar now. It's like it adds the default for us as soon as we. But how does it know? That's what I'm expecting to have to reference at least the target group somewhere in the listener when we create it.
Okay.
That's why it's complaining.
Let me try to find the example we did before, and I removed it right now, but it's still somewhere on this thing. So if I go to lib and then
get history,
global, not even get history, just looking at this thing. So
can you make it a bit bigger, please?
We add targets. We take the listener and just add the targets, and that's it. Nothing else.
Yes, but see, that's the.
See, I can maybe do that the same here. So if I go here to the main thing, and let me just remove all these things. I'm gonna just comment it out. So if I do that and remove it like so, and then
that feels very weird.
That's how we did it, right?
I definitely want us to dig into this a bit more.
LB listener dot add targets, and then what did I do here? Just web LB targets, and then properties like so. And this is the web ECS service. And I just needed to do port. That's it. I'm just adding targets to this listener. Now, the problem here is what's going to happen is that we have already targets in this listener, right?
But that's why we have to add a rule.
Yeah. So
because the rule points to the target.
We don't have to add a rule. So I mean, of course, it's all done in the background, but we don't have to do it. We
don't
explicitly say it here, right? So.
No. But see, that's the thing now where the behavior is confusing me, and what I'm concerned is that. So when you create the listener for the first time, it's got a default action, which has to point somewhere. That somewhere is that default target group that we created, right? And the act of creating the listener itself, which seems to be part of the, when we define the actual load balancer, can you quickly just show me there if we define a target inside the base environment? Because
yeah, we do. So
okay. So that what happens there is that then creates the default listening rule. Okay. Then for any additional services we want to deploy, we have to create a new rule and attach the rule to the listener, not create another listener, because the listener is on a per port basis.
We're not creating another listener. So we're not creating another listener. We create a single listener here, right? And in this case, we're just adding targets to that listener.
Yes. But
so let's actually see. I'm really interested to see if there's
going
to be any difference in this one.
I would expect the method to be add listening rules, not add targets, because it feels like being able to add targets to a listener means that you're having additional target groups.
Most likely it does something like that for you, right? Again, I don't know, right? You can define like priorities here and a bunch of other things, right? Okay, CDK deploy base.
So it's application target. I think the terminology is getting me, because I remember those as being rules. So application list, or like listener target, listener rules.
Okay.
Or listener targets.
Property add targets of undefined.
Okay.
What did I do? Base VPC required.
So it wants us to add.
1 second.
Cool.
Add
Let's see what
targets
that is.
Undefined. LB listener is undefined, but it's not. LB listener is defined. Listener. 1 second. Let me try it again. I want to see what it throws here, because props.lb listener add targets. You can do it. Like, see, it's a method adding targets of undefined. So this synth is actually trying to synthesize everything, because base default target group.
Ooh, sorry, there have been some questions from the Smasher again, and thank you, Canner, for answering them for us. You know what? Let's pause, because I know we are going way over time now.
Oh,
it's already
wow.
21.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
so sorry about that, everyone. We got very, very what's the tunnel visioned here with this.
Yeah.
So what we'll do is we're going to spend some time now looking at this and figuring this out, just to see exactly what are we doing wrong here, and then come back with an answer in the next stream on Friday.
Yeah.
So come join us on Friday, same time, same place. Hopefully with us scratching our heads a little bit less.
But this was fun. I actually found that some things work. Some things are really cool. And but we also need to figure out how to do this work. And I like the discussion about the actual restructuring of this thing. And I learned something from you, Cobus.
Yeah. So. Cool. Awesome. Cool. So I think with that, we are going to wrap it up. Sorry, it's a very abrupt end. We normally ease into the end and say goodbye to people with a joke or two again as well. But definitely come join us again on Friday, where we will continue with this, because this seems to be very interesting in trying to figure this out in CDK and how to split this out. Cool. And with that, cheers.
Bye.